This is a very fluid situation. In terms of survival, we've heard nothing but really defiance from the president. Are the odds sort of starting to look a bit limited against him?
Yeah, they had thought, I think maybe 48 hours ago, that they had a handle on this. Just to back up, some of the people that had expressed privately concerns, like Representative Jerry Nadler of New York, had said, Biden's not going anywhere, so it looks like he's our nominee. But the dam is sort of leaking, if not breaking again in the last little bit. Pelosi, her comments this morning just shook through Washington just remarkably. She sort of really sent a big signal, calling on him to make a decision that he insists he's already made. And then just moments ago, Senator Peter Welch, a Democratic senator, called on Biden to step aside. So we're up to about a dozen or so senators and House members combined. Now, that's a fraction of the over 200, nearly 300 that exist in Congress, but still it is a drumbeat right now. The president, meanwhile, doesn't seem swayed by this. Our reporting is that his letter on Monday, which said flatly, "I'm running, get on board. This infighting is hurting us." We're hearing that letter stands, that Biden is not swayed by this, but this is a pivotal moment. Tomorrow he has a big press conference. A lot of eyes will be on that. And you can say, I think fairly, that tomorrow is going to be one of the most pivotal days of Biden's presidency so far.
Josh, why are we seeing the tides turning at this point? What's happened in the last couple of days that's making President Biden's candidacy even more challenging?
This is still flowing from the debate, and at the sort of nerves after the debate were calmed by the White House saying, hey, he had a bad night, he had a cold, and people kind of gave him the benefit of the doubt and thought he would be out there more, doing things to calm concerns. For some Democrats, at least the ones that are speaking out in concern, he hasn't done that. His interview with George Stephanopoulos was meant to put some fears to rest. It didn't for a lot of people. Now we're seeing probably reports of polling rolling in. People are starting to see what the impact of this is. And so the question for a lot of Democrats is, what's our number one priority? Loyalty to Joe Biden or beating Donald Trump? And so right now, again, it is a small number, but for them to break rank like this is completely unprecedented so far in Biden's presidency, where, of course, age concerns and speech concerns and that kind of thing have been swirling, for longer than a couple of weeks. But this is stemming from the debate. And what's made clear, I think, to a lot of Democrats is that it wasn't just the debate. And we had, of course, today as well, George Clooney, the actor who hosted a fundraiser with Biden a few weeks ago, come out and say that Biden shouldn't be the nominee. And that at that fundraiser, Biden was the same sort of guy that we saw on stage at the debate. In other words, it wasn't just the debate night, according to Clooney, who is one of the sort of highest profile celebrities and donors that back the Democratic Party.
We've now seen, just now actually crossing the Bloomberg, the Vermont Democratic Senator Peter Welch calling for President Biden to withdraw from his re-election bid for the good of the country. I quote in this op-ed published in the Washington Post. He's the first Democratic senator to explicitly call for Biden to withdraw from the presidential race.
Yeah, I guess the key question then here, Josh, is what happens next in terms of if he does withdraw, who are the potential candidates from the Democratic Party?
If he does withdraw, there'll be a lot of people that think Vice President Harris should more or less be handed the nomination as to lead the party. And of course, right now what Democrats are calling for is for him to withdraw from the race, not quit as president. He would serve out his full term in this, although some Republicans are raising questions about whether that should be the case. Other Democrats want sort of a mini splash primary, either at the convention or beforehand. It's not really clear who that would be. So it's up in the air right now. This is game theory. Some people dismiss this as ridiculous. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer called it fantasy football when asked about it this morning on TV here by MSNBC, saying people are trying to draw up these little, dream schemes on the back of a notepad that in reality won't, hit fruition. I think the next 24 or 48 hours are crucial for Biden. If he can consolidate into the weekend here and into next week, the calendar kind of helps him a bit because it'll be the RNC. Trump will be on stage. The news cycle will shift a bit. He's announced an interview on Monday with Lester Holt, and maybe that can tamp down some of the pressure. But if the next 48 hours go poorly, in particular, as I said, that press conference about 24 hours from now, then though you're likely, I think, to see at least some more Democrats step up and say Biden should not be our standard bearer in 2024's election.